Okay, everybody, here's the deal. So what we have here is a painting in a frame because this painting was in a show. Now, the deal is that when I was painting it, there was this kid who was he was in the Marine Corps and based down the street. A really nice guy, and I enjoyed talking to him in the line yards, but it's like he kind of like interrupted the flow when I was doing the painting, and the painting was turned in the next day, anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out of the frame, and I'm going to fix it up and kind of finish it the way I kind of really wanted to finish it when I was out there, but the sun was in my eyes and this and that, and I was just, fuck. So let's take a pre-done painting and see if we can just kind of like evolve it to the next step. See if we can make it just that much better, I guess, Bring in some of these darks here, increase this tree to balance out the composition a little. And then I just see some other stuff here and there that just needs to be fixed. Most of this I'm pretty good with that. The horizon line isn't exactly straight, it's like, even though it kind of really does that. Let's fix it up a little. Bum, bum, bum. Alrighty guys, here's the deal. I've got this playback set to like 300 speed, so, pay attention quickly. Alright, so here's what we're doing. The painting that I just briefly explained, I wanted to change some of the foreground, that foreground action you see there. Now, what I'm doing is I'm using, just the paint, using the sample, the same color palette as usual, and I'm just darkening it all in. And I'm not a big fan of painting over old paintings or, dried paint, but I'm going to use some of this Da Vinci Galkid stuff, okay? And so what it does, it just kind of helps move the paint around a bit so that it makes it easier to kind of cover the canvas a little bit better. I don't know. I like painting wet into wet, and while the painting's still wet, I finish it then. I don't like to work on a painting for months or something like that. It feels like, I'm working on it for a year. It's like, dude, that painting be in the trash for me. All right, I don't know. So anyway, yeah, so we're building up some dark textures here, and this tree we're gonna make it bigger, like I said. So in doing so, just kind of figuring out where we're gonna paint that guy. Looks like a Bob Ross thing right there. Oh, we're putting in a happy tree. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so without a photo reference, I'm just kind of making this tree up as we go. I'm using the tree that was already there. I'm just kind of like making it bigger. I don't know. This is weird. The funny thing is, out in the field this tree, there's actually like a bunch of trees, but they were like really tall, like all you see is like a trunk, and so I was thinking, I'll just paint the trunk in there, but that didn't work out. This is design, this is the composition, go with it, okay? And then for this little hedgerow of bushes and everything, it kind of like, it went down the hill, whatever, and I just wanted to like show some light coming through it, So that's what we're seeing here, is just, trying to poke some light going through it, and then the back of the bushes is really dark. And so, you got to kind of put in some texture, some detail, some, your abstract texture to, hopefully try and show that the light's coming through. Yeah, I don't know. The color is very important here, and I was not getting the color right, at least the color I wanted to see. So we had to monkey with that a little bit. Because when you're in the studio and you're just kind of making it up, I think it, you kind of get more idealized in what the painting is going to be. Whereas when you're out in the field, you're trying to match what you see out there. You're trying to capture the essence of it out there. But in the studio, you're not really capturing the essence. You're making it up. And making up that essence is, it could either backfire pretty bad or work out really well. One of the two, I don't know. But anyway, just building up some textures here, some interest, some of this, some of that. I don't know. I didn't fix the background though, just so you know. Like all I did was work on this foreground here. That Galkid made it really nice because it like increases the viscosity and a little bit of the transparency. And usually if you're wet and wet, I'm just using the pure paint, but as I'm overpainting this, it really made a big difference. And that tube I had was just the sample size tube, and I squeezed out a good chunk, and it went pretty quick. So I might have to get some of that. You have to contact Da Vinci, call up Marcello at Da Vinci, and get some more of that stuff. Speaking of which, I took a tour of the Da Vinci facility, and by Marcello, he's a super cool guy, and it was super neat to see how all the paints are made and how they do testing and this and that, and the barrels with, I mean, like, you know, big 55 drum barrels of powder that was mixed in and everything. It was pretty neat. You know, see how the bacon is made, kind of stuff. Oh no, sausage. Just to see how the hot dogs or sausage are made. One of the two, I don't know. Okay, so we're going to put in some of this tree here using more or less the same color. I mean, I don't know. I forgot what kind of tree it was. Like a pine tree, or it was a, I don't know what kind of tree it was. I think it's eucalyptus, pine. Beats me. But, you know, just want to show that there's some light coming through the tree. Yeah, I guess I could have like left it like all really dark and moody. That would have been an option. I don't know. You know, really make it tonalist as the light comes through. That'd be a fun thing to do. Yeah, and that's the other part of reworking a painting here is you can try different ideas. Like, you know, if you're out there and, you know, night coming together, yeah, you bring it back to the studio and try something new. See if something else works. Paint over it. Who cares? Because I remember one time back in college, and this is when I went back to college. It was like, you know, get my degree in, I was going for a master's in drawing and painting. It didn't pan out, just so you know. So one of the things I was telling the teacher was, you know, she's like, oh, you have to paint this. There's a figure class, I think. I don't know. Anyway, so the teacher was going on about how, you know, that you have to paint it perfect and everything. I was like, no, I'm not trying to paint it perfect. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to figure out how to do something good and learn this and that. And she kind of scoffs and says, well, no, you have to come out here with a perfect painting. Like, you have to have 3 perfect paintings. I'm like, no, I'm not doing museum quality paintings or like this and that. No, it's, I need to learn. She didn't agree, just so you know. So you can either agree or not to agree that every painting you paint is a perfect embodiment of your heart and soul. For me, you know, I'd rather just, I like learning, and so if I can try something new and figure it out and something else, as you'll see in my next video, what I did for the Molten Museum painting is like the painting just wasn't working out for nothing. I'm like, God damn it. And so I just started doing something a little bit different with the application of paint, the paintbrush I was using, the surface I was on. And I just did something kind of different, and you'll see what happened. And spoiler alert, it won first place. So I did something right. And there's like 5 judges too. It was like great, and they all just unanimously decided on that one, and I was super happy to go home that night. But that painting and everything will be in the next video. So anyways, we're just crawling along here. You know, you just got to kind of step back every now and then, kind of see where you are, see what's happening. Do the plants look right? Here I'm putting in the ground. You know, is it too smeary? Do I need to add more texture? Do I need to add more detail, more interest? You know, maybe these little plants that you see here. You know, is that green the right color of the plants, or should have been darker? You know, that's all the kind of fun stuff you got to do when you're monkeying around with a painting like this. You know, when it's finished, am I going to enter it in something, or am I just going to add it to the super duper wall of paintings hanging on the wall in the studio? You know, for someone to find 200 years from now and be like, oh my God, that's a painting that Eric Newbert did. Oh wow, I just found it. You know, or maybe find it at a garage sale. Like, you know, I'm just going around the garage sale, having a good old time. You know, looking for, you know, keepsakes. I'm like, wait, is that an Eric Newbert painting? It's worth millions. Too bad he didn't get a dime of it when he was alive. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm just, you know, just going through and adding texture and this and that, but careful not to overwork it. I may have overworked it. I'm not sure. I may have underworked it. You never know. I don't know. But I do like how it turned out in the end, because it was really bothering me just sitting there looking at it. And so, you know, as we kind of come to a close here, I gotta say, I really did like how it turned out. You know, this tree that was just kind of sitting on the ledge with the freeway and the ocean and the glare behind it. It's kind of a neat and peaceful painting. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Well, anyway, here I am again. Alrighty, so, you know, the idea was just to play around with some textures and this and that, just kind of bring this foreground, you know, a little more closer to you by, you know, warmer colors, you know, tighter textures, stuff like that. You know, it's not really it's more of a fun play around, because usually I don't like painting over paintings, but sometimes I think it's good to do that, just so you can kind of, you know, progress an idea a little more, progress your strokes, your, you know, whatever, je ne sais quoi, makes your paintings yours. Especially when you really didn't feel like you finished it in the studio. I think it's cool to come back to or finish it in the field, come back to the studio, play around with it some more, see what you can come up with, see if you can make it better, maybe make it worse, who knows. It's a painting, so who knows, have fun. Well, I hope you enjoyed this 10 minutes of Life You'll Never Get Back, and like, click, and subscribe, and that's about it.